Hello, Gear Space. This is Richard Nickel from Pittsburgh Modular Synthesizers, and I am at Super Booth to discuss Taiga, which is the instrument we worked on for the last 3.5 years, sort of our lockdown project. And we like to think of it sort of as a greatest hits or a catching up with Pittsburgh Modular, what we've been working on for the past, believe it or not, Pittsburgh's been around for 11 years. So this is sort of the showcase of what we're good at. It's a big analog monosynth, fully patchable, Eurorack format in Eurorack signal levels. So if you wanted to take it out and put it in a larger system, you absolutely could. But the idea is really 3 big beefy analog oscillators. Each oscillator has a dedicated wave folder. So you have 3 wave folders that you can use to shape and create some incredibly complex sounds. Those are run through a dual mixer that you can use as one 4-channel mixer, which we're using here, or you can break it apart and use it as a 2-channel, and then a 3-channel mixer with the preamp that has 30x gain and some beautiful soft clipping overdrive. So if you want to create feedback loops or just drive it to all hell, you absolutely can. But it does clean up very nicely. That's through the Pittsburgh filter. Now we've used a variation of this filter in everything we've ever done. We like to think of it as our sound and sort of the signature of Pittsburgh Modular. It's a state variable 12 dB filter, and we like to say there's no sweet spot because it's all warm. No matter where you're turning the frequency knob, you're going to get a nice sound. And as with all state variable filters, it doesn't naturally self-oscillate. So what you get is the opportunity to have infinite resonance without self-oscillation. So you can really push the resonance based on how you turn the mixers. So the less signal you send through the filter, the more room you have left for resonance, for feedback. So you can get some beautiful sounds just by playing with the gain staging even going in. It really does a nice job of that. That's followed by 2 analog, again, ADSRs. These are the same ADSRs that we used in our SV1 instrument, the same ADSRs that are in the East Beast Create Audio synthesizer. I love how they sound. They're so snappy, and they just have a feel to them. Very different than a digital oscillator, which is very linear in the control. These knobs, they seem like they have their own life, and we've been tweaking it and playing with it for years. I just absolutely love it. Followed again by another Pittsburgh signature circuit, which is the dynamics controller. Now, we started with the low-pass gate, which is something that Don Buchla came up with. It's very West Coast style. But what we've done is, they use a component in there called a Vactrol, which is like an LED and then a photoreceptor. But they're all over the place. Sometimes you get very snappy Vactrols. Sometimes you get very long decay on a Vactrol. And we said, well, I think we can do something more interesting. So what we did is we re-engineered the Vactrol using, again, analog circuitry to emulate it. And what we have is now a circuit where we can adjust that Vactrol decay time using the response. We can also voltage control that, so you can control that with an LFO or an envelope. And what you end up with is something that sounds very alive and very natural. That then dumps into the echoes, which is a bucket brigade analog delay up to about 350 milliseconds. So it's not a long delay, but you can use it as an interesting chorus, or, the feedback circuit is calibrated in a way that you can do long delays and get almost a reverb effect out of it. So for short time-based effects, you can get some really interesting things. Or because it's a bucket brigade, you go full wet. And what that then gives you is, if you're looking for that sort of lo-fi Boards of Canada sound, you just go full wet and then just maybe send CV to the time and just wiggle it just a touch. And it sounds like an old tape. So a lot of things you can do with shorter delays. And that was the idea, is that sort of highlight something that maybe most people don't think about. When you think of delays, you want, well, how long is it? 2 seconds, 1 second, 3 seconds. And they missed the idea that there's so much beauty in short delays. So we wanted to showcase that in Taiga. As a complete instrument, it's, again, it took us 3.5 years to put this together. And even though each module, each section of it individually, you have dedicated input and output jacks. So if you have a larger Eurorack setup, you could use just the oscillators, you could use just the filter. But because we have the opportunity to do an instrument, everything is really fine-tuned to work within the system. So the oscillators are tuned to hit the filter exactly how we want to, and the filter is tuned to hit the dynamics controller exactly how we want to. And that's sort of the beauty of doing an instrument, is you can create an entire world to give to an artist to then take it where they don't have to feel necessarily like an engineer. That's my job. Their job is to produce art. So we say, here it is, it's a full thought, it's a complete instrument. Now you dive in and experiment and learn a little bit and have some fun. A big part of Pittsburgh Modular is that we're relatively silly people, and we like the idea of instruments, for most people, are sort of a hobby, or they're a way to escape your day-to-day. So we try to have a little bit of fun and make things a little, we have a bear, and we have modules with elephants and polar bears and llamas on them, because you should make music and smile. I don't know. But that's what we're here to share. So thank you for watching the video, and love the gear space.